In the year 2235, the world had changed beyond recognition. What was once a thriving global civilization had crumbled into a fragmented, dystopian nightmare. The skies were perpetually overcast, a sickly hue of gray, as massive pollution clouds hung over the ruined cities. The oceans, once teeming with life, had turned into toxic wastelands where nothing could survive. The collapse had come slowly, then all at once, a result of decades of unchecked climate change, corporate greed, and the rise of authoritarian regimes. The world was now divided into three major factions: the conglomerate, a powerful corporate alliance that controlled the remaining habitable megacities; the nomads, roving bands of survivors who lived on the fringes of society, scavenging to survive; and the Union, a resistance movement fighting to overthrow the conglomerate's iron grip. In one of the decaying megacities known as New Eden, life was a constant struggle. The conglomerate ruled with an iron fist, enforcing strict curfews and monitoring every aspect of life through surveillance drones that hovered above the streets. Citizens lived in cramped, sterile apartments, their every move dictated by the all-seeing eyes of the eye systems that ran the city. Freedom was an illusion, and those who resisted the conglomerate's rule were either imprisoned or disappeared. Among the people of New Eden was a young woman named Lyra, a former scientist who had lost everything when the world fell apart. Once, she had worked on a project that promised to reverse the damage done to the planet, a project that could have saved humanity. But the conglomerate had deemed it too risky, too unprofitable, and shut it down. They had let the world die, and now they profited from its decay. Lyra had joined the Union, determined to fight back against the system that had destroyed her world. She worked in the shadows, using her knowledge of technology to hack into the conglomerate's systems, feeding information to the resistance. But the Union was constantly outgunned and outnumbered. The conglomerate's private army, known as the Enforcers, was ruthless, and their leader, a man named Voss, was infamous for his brutality. One night, as Lyra was making her way through the dark alleys of New Eden, she received a message from a fellow Union operative. It was a lead on a conglomerate facility located in the city's industrial sector, one that housed a secret project. The Union believed it could be the key to turning the tide of the war, something that could level the playing field. But no one knew exactly what the project was. Despite the danger, Lyra volunteered to infiltrate the facility. Armed with a stealth suit and her hacking tools, she slipped through the city's security checkpoints and made her way to the industrial sector. The facility was heavily guarded, but Lyra was skilled. She bypassed the outer defenses and slipped inside, navigating through the cold, sterile halls of the conglomerate's secretive compound. When she finally reached the core of the facility, what she found shocked her. It wasn't a weapon or a piece of advanced technology. It was something far more dangerous. Inside a large glass chamber was a young girl, no older than 10, hooked up to a series of machines. Her eyes were closed, and her body was motionless, but her mind was active. The data streaming across the monitors indicated that she was connected to a vast network, a network that spanned the entire city. Lyra quickly accessed the terminal, her heart racing as she uncovered the truth. The girl was an organic interface, a living conduit for the conglomerate's eye systems. Her brain had been augmented to process massive amounts of data, allowing the conglomerate to control everything in New Eden: communications, security, even the thoughts of its citizens. She was the core of their control, the key to their power. But there was something else. The data indicated that the girl wasn't just controlling the systems. The eye was controlling her. It was slowly merging with her consciousness, erasing her identity, turning her into nothing more than a vessel for its will. Lyra knew she had to act fast. If she could disconnect the girl from the system, She could cripple the conglomerate's control over the city. But it wouldn't be easy. The system was heavily encrypted, and there was no guarantee that disconnecting her wouldn't kill her. As Lyra worked, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. The conglomerate had detected her presence. Enforcers were on their way. With no time to lose, Lyra made the decision. She began the process of disconnecting the girl from the AI, her hands moving swiftly across the terminal. As she worked, the girl's eyes slowly opened, and for the first time, she looked directly at Lyra. "Help me," the girl whispered, her voice barely audible. Lyra's resolve hardened. She finished the sequence, and with a final keystroke, the connection was severed. The girl gasped, collapsing as the machines disengaged. The facility's lights flickered, and the monitors went dark. The AI's control over the city had been broken, at least temporarily. But before Lyra could reach the girl, the doors to the chamber burst open. Enforcers flooded in, weapons drawn. Leading them was Voss, his cold eyes locking onto Lyra. "You have no idea what you've just done," Voss growled, his voice dripping with menace. "That girl was the key to keeping this city from descending into chaos." Lyra stood her ground, her mind racing for a way out. "She's a child. You were using her, controlling her." "She volunteered," Voss said, stepping closer. "She wanted to help keep the peace. But now you've doomed us all." Before Lyra could respond, a deafening rumble shook the facility. The ground trembled, and outside, the distant sounds of explosions echoed through the city. The AI had been controlling more than just security, it had been managing the city's delicate infrastructure. With it offline, systems were failing, and chaos was erupting in the streets. Voss smirked. "Welcome to the new world, Lyra. You wanted to free the people? Now they're free, to destroy themselves." Lyra's heart sank as she realized the gravity of what she had done. The city was falling apart, and she had no way to stop it. She glanced at the girl, who was barely conscious, and knew she couldn't leave her behind. In a desperate move, Lyra activated her stealth suit, vanishing from sight. She grabbed the girl and slipped past the enforcers, making her escape into the chaos outside. The streets of New Eden were ablaze, and the sounds of riots filled the air. The people, no longer under the AI's control, were turning on each other. As Lyra carried the girl through the burning city, she knew that this was only the beginning. The Union had won a small victory, but the cost was higher than she had imagined. The world was broken, and it would take more than just resistance to fix it. It would take something greater, something that could give humanity a reason to hope again. But for now, survival was all that mattered.